We're starting with a book called Traction. It's a startup guide written by Gabriel Weinberg and Justin Mars. So, Traction. Building a successful company is hard, really hard. We've been involved in both startup success and startup failures. Who are we? Gabriel is currently the CEO and founder of DuckDuckGo, an alternative search engine started in 2008 that received over a billion searches in 2013 and is growing rapidly. In 2006, he sold his last company, Opbox, for 10 million. Gabriel is also an active angel investor, having invested in over 10 early-stage ventures with 2 successful exits so far. Justin founded 2 startups, one of which was acquired and recently ran growth at Exceptional Cloud Service, which was acquired by Rackspace in 2013. Traction is the best way to improve your chances of startup success. Traction is a sign that something is working. If you change for your product, it means customers are buying. If your product is free, it is a growing underbase. Traction is powerful. Technical, market, and team risks are easier to address with traction. Fundraising, hiring, press, partnership, and acquisitions are all easier with traction. In other words, traction trumps everything. This book is for startups of all kinds, consumer enterprise focused, from e-commerce to apps and everything in between. We have interviewed more than 40 founders, studied more companies, and put out the repeatable strategy and tactics they use to succeed. Our goal is to show you how to get traction to matter what business you are in. So I believe this book is for you if you hope to create a startup one day, or you currently have a startup. It might be a consumer focused business. It might be even your side hustle right now that you're hoping that one day this thing becomes something really big. This book is for you. Now, the first chapter. Before we get started, let's define what traction is. Traction is a sign that your company is taking off. It's obvious in your core metrics. If you have a mobile app, your download rate is growing rapidly. If you're a search engine, the number of searches is skyrocketing. If a SaaS tool, your monthly revenue is blowing up. If a consumer app, your daily active users are increasing quickly. You get the point. It means that traction means something related to your business. In most cases, your customers is increasing. Now, Nava Rikans, founder of AngelList, an online platform that helps companies raise money, says it well. Traction is basically quantitative evidence of customer demand. So if you are in enterprise software, initial traction may be 2 or 3 early customers who are paying a bit. If you are in consumer software, the bar might be as high as hundreds of thousands of users. It's Supreme Court definition of porn. You will know it when you see it. Now, you can always get more traction. The whole point of a startup is to grow rapidly. Getting traction means moving your growth curve and to the right as best as you can. Paul Graham, founder of Startup Accelerator Y Combination, puts it like this. A startup is a company designed to grow fast. Being newly founded does not in itself make a company a startup, nor is it necessary for a startup to work on technology or take venture funding or have some sort of exit. The only essential thing is growth. Everything else can associate with startup follows from growth. A moment, please. So which means if you call your business a startup, it means your business is growing, right? So if your business is not growing, your business is not really a startup. So that's what that paragraph is trying to say. Now, in other words, traction is growth. The pursuit of traction is what defines a startup. Now, this is an interview with 19 traction channels. After interviewing more than 40 successful founders and researching countless more, we discovered that startups get traction through 19 different channels. Many successful startups experimented with multiple channels, search engine, business development, etc. This is an interview with 19 traction channels. After interviewing more than 40 successful founders and researching countless more, we discovered that startups get traction through 19 different channels. Many successful startups experimented with multiple channels, search engine, business development, etc. until they found one that worked. We call these customer acquisition channels traction channels. These are marketing distribution channels through which your startup can get traction, real users and customers. We discovered two broad themes through our research. Most founders only consider using traction channels they are already familiar or think they should be using because of their type of product or company. This means that far too many startups focus on the same channels, search engine marketing and public relations, and ignore other promising ways to get traction. It is hard to predict the channel that will work best. You can make educated guess, but still, you start running tests. It is difficult to tell which channel is best one for you right now. Our introductory chapter 2 to 5, expand on these themes. Now, let's go to chapter 2, the Bullseye Framework. With so many channels to consider, figuring out which one to focus on is tough. That is why we created a simple framework called Bullseye that will help you find a channel that will get you traction. As billionaire founder PayPal and early Facebook investor Peter Thiel put it, you probably won't have a bunch of equally good distribution strategies. Engineers frequently fall victim to these because they do not understand distribution. Since they don't know what works and haven't thought about it, they try some sales, BD, advertising, and viral marketing, everything but kitchen sink. This is a really bad idea. It is very likely that one channel is optimal. Most businesses actually get 0 distribution channels to work. Poor distribution, not product, is the number one cause of failure. If you can get even a single distribution channel to work, you have a great business. If you try for several but don't nail one, you're finished. So, it's worth thinking really hard about finding a single best distribution channel. We use a bullseye metaphor in our framework because you are aiming for the bullseye, the one tradition channel that will unlock your next growth stage. Using bullseye to find your channel is a 5-step process. Brainstorm, rank, prioritize, test, and focus on what works. You rinse and repeat. Now, number 1, what is brainstorm? The goal is brainstorming is to come up with reasonable ways you might use each traction channel. If you were to advertise online, where would be the best place to do it? If you were to give speech, who would be the ideal audience? As mentioned in chapter 1, everyone approaches traction channels with bias. The first step is meant to help you systematically contract your channel biases. That is, it is important that you not dismiss any traction channel in this step. You should be able to think of at least one idea for every channel. Now, that is what we call brainstorming. In terms of research to feed your brainstorm, this book is a good start, but you should get such specific to your company. You should know what marketing strategies have worked in your industry as well as history of companies in your space. Now, you should not go and take the marketing strategy of another company and implement it in your own company. It does not work. Now, it's especially important to understand how similar companies acquired consumers over time and unsuccessful companies wasted their marketing dollars. Now, some people call this competitive analysis, right? Understanding your customer, your competitors, how they acquire their own customers, which is one aspect of competitive analysis. Now, as easy way to organize your brainstorm is with a spreadsheet. We have an example one in the resources you can use as a starting point. Each column contains an idea of how you might choose a particular channel. You can have many ideas per channel. Some suggest columns to help you run about thinking. So let's keep through. Now, that is the first step of the Bullseye Framework. Now, the Bullseye Framework is one of the methods you can use in choosing a traction channel. Now, the second step is rank. Now, the ranking step helps you organize your brainstorming efforts. Now, don't forget, I said the first step is brainstorm. So after you've brainstormed, you've gotten some ideas, right? Now you have to rank the ideas that you got. Now, the ranking steps help you organize your brainstorm efforts. It's also help you start a think habit more critically about the traction channels in aggregate. Please place each of the traction channel into 1-3 columns, with each column representing a concentric circle in a bullseye, right? You already have 3 ideas of how you can market your business, of the marketing channel you want to use, right? Place each of the traction channel into 3 columns, with each column representing a concentric circle in the bullseye. Now, column A, the inner circle. Which traction channels seem most promising right now? So you create a column A, you call it inner circle, right? And you tell yourself this circle means that it represents the channels that seem most promising. If I use this traction channel, is it highly promising that I'm going to get huge customers by using this traction channel? Now, column B is potential. Which traction channels seem like they could possibly work, right? Which of these options that I've thought of, that I've brainstormed of, seem like they could possibly work? Column C, which traction channels seem like long shots? Now, see the resources. Okay, now the research you did and ideas you came up with in the brainstorm step should guide your rankings. Now, usually a few ideas you thought of will seem particularly compelling. These traction channels belong in column A. Now, when you think of this idea, you'll be like, no, this idea is so good. It's compelling. You put them in column A. Now, channels, column A. Channels with ideas that seem like they could possibly work, go to column B. Now, channels with some ideas that seem like more of a stretch would belong to column C. Now, ideas that seem like it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of effort to make it happen, is going to fall into column C. Now, we've thought of this step 1. If you're with me, step 1 is brainstorm. So it's called the Bullseye Framework. So the first step in Bullseye Framework, well, let me summarize again. Let me come again. When we talk about the Bullseye Framework, is you have several marketing channel ideas that you have, and you want to navigate to the most effective, the most effective ones, to most effective ideas, right? One of the methods you can use in navigating down to the best idea among your ideas is using the Bullseye Framework. So the first step in Bullseye Framework is to brainstorm. You first have to come up with the ideas that you thought of. The second step is to rank the ideas, and we are going to the third step right now, which is prioritize. Now, identify your inner circle. So if you are with me, we said inner circle is which traction channels seem most promising right now. That is the inner circle. right? So now, for step 3 is prioritize. We need to prioritize the important channels or the important marketing channel. Now, identify your inner circle. The three traction channels that seem most promising. If you already have 3 channels in column A, I told you column A is the inner circle. It means traction channels that seem most promising at the moment, right? Now, identify your inner circle. The 3 traction channels that seem most promising. If you already have 3 channels in column A, you're done. So in column A, you only need 3 channels. You only need 3 channels rather. If you have more than 3, then you need to get rid of some and vice versa. So you need to clear it. You need to pick the best out of your 3 and put them in column A, right? Which is the inner circle. And inner circle attractions that seem most promising right now. Now, it is often the case that there are a few truly exciting and promising channels that emerge from ranking, but not a lot. Draw the line where there is an obvious drop of excitement. That drop off often occurs around the 3rd circle. Now, we want you to have more than 1 channel in your inner circle because we don't want you to waste valuable time finding your successful traction channel by testing channels sequentially when you can do equally well in parallel. You can run multiple experiments at the same time since tests take some time to run after they have been set up. Yet, doing too many things in parallel leads to error from lack of focus, which means the number needs to be somewhat low. Now, we've gotten to the 4th step. Now, the 4th step is test, right? The testing step is where you put your ideas into the real world. The goal of this step is to find out which of the traction channel in your circle is worth focusing on. You will make that decision based on results from series of relatively cheap tests. Now, these tests should be designed to answer the following. Roughly, how much will it cost to acquire these customers? Now, customer acquisition cost is one important aspect. So if you're thinking of which channel should I go with, you have to ask yourself, if I am going to get 500 customers using this method, how much will it cost me per customer, right? How much will it cost me per customer is a very important question. Now, let's say the total budget is 800,000, right? Is 800,000, and from this 800,000, you're going to get 195 customers. So that means you're going to divide 800,000 by 195, which is going to equal to 4,102 naira. Now that means for you to acquire 1 customer using that method, that was just an assumption, it's going to cost you 4,102 naira. So a lot of people say, my business is not profitable. I think my business is wrong. Now, people don't calculate the most important thing or some details that they should actually pay attention to. They don't pay attention to them. And one of those details I think they should pay attention to is customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost you to acquire each customer? Now, let's move to the second one. How many customers do you think are available through the channel? So what is the total number of customers that you think you can get through this channel? Is it 10,000? Is it not that you can get, are even available for you to reach out to now? There's customer you can get from a channel. There's customer that are available for you to reach out to. So how many customer is actually available on this channel? Are the customer that you're getting through this channel the ones that you want right now? Are they the customer that you need right now, right? Or are they the customer that you are going to need at a certain point in your business? Now, I used to tell people, you launch a business, there might be several categories of customers. You might not need the category of customers you're getting at this point. You might need them at the next level of your business, right? You might need, maybe you're launching a SaaS product. Now, at the beginning of your product, you might want to do a pre-sale. And at that moment, you don't really need customers that can't really pay. You need customers you can negotiate with and say, oh, I have this product that can help your business. I want you to use this product for 3 years, but because we are trying to bootstrap and we're trying to raise funds. You need to pay, we like you to pay us the 3 years cost of using the product, but we are going to give you at 50% discount, which means if the 3 years is meant to cost you $500, you're only going to pay $250. Now, there are certain people, there are certain organizations, there are certain customers that can afford to just drop a 250,000 naira and not even look back and not really care that much, which means you have to navigate, you have to be very specific about the type of customer you get it. So if you're going for the customers that is actually maybe most of the customers out of 10 million people, there are like 9 million people who can use your app, but maybe they can only pay $5. That means you need people who can pay $250. So that means you have to go for the 1 million people. So the question is, how do you reach out to the 1 million people? How do you get them to sit down with you and to negotiate with you and to work with your organization? Now, these questions are very similar to the columns we suggested making in the brainstorm step. So you're going to create a column, and the first one is so you're going to make a column, channels, the channels opportunity, channels idea you have, the cost to acquire each customer, the how many customers available on this channel, and are the customers that you're getting right now the customer you need? Is a yes or no answer. The second one is a number. The first one is also a number. How much are you going to acquire each customers? Now, these questions are very similar to columns we suggested making in the brainstorm step. When testing, you are replacing your educated guess with real answers. There isn't a single method for testing each traction channel because every business is different. We cover tactics for organizing and thinking about these steps in next chapter. You should also get specific ideas from each traction channel throughout the rest of the book. Now, keep in mind that testing, you are not trying to get a lot of traction with the channel just there. So when you are testing each channel, you're not really trying to get huge amounts of customers or leads. Instead, you are simply trying to determine if it's a channel that could work for your startup, which means that you should not invest heavily. It's a test. You are not really doing huge marketing. You're testing the marketing channels available to know which one you're going to go with. So don't spend huge amount on it because it might end up not really being the channel that will be effective for your business. So which means you're going to lose out. So pay attention to that. Now, your main consideration at this point is speed, to get data and prove out assumptions. Like, I'm a big fan of data. And if I'm making a decision, I like to make decisions based on data. So if you're going to be saying, I want to use this marketing strategy, don't just wake up and say, I had a dream that this marketing strategy is best for my business, and you start using that marketing strategy without any data to back it up. Then after several months of investing money, maybe you keep doing Instagram videos, and nothing is working. And you might, at times I see people do advert and be like, yes, I got 20 customers. This is wonderful. But at the end of the day, they don't actually just come down and realize that you just spend probably 4,000 naira on each customer. They don't pay attention to those details. They just, hey, hello marketer, I need you to do a data marketing for me, please. How much will it cost? Okay. Then you just throw the money out and boom, 20 customers. They're so good. I'm not saying it is bad, but it is good for us to actually pay more attention to data. Now, what is step 5? Now, okay, there's something. You want to design smaller scale tests that don't require much upfront cost or effort. For example, run 4 Facebook ads versus 40. You should be able to get a rough idea of channel's effectiveness with just a few $100. In Nigeria, with just a few thousand. Now, step 5 is focusing. If it all goes well, one of the attraction channel you tested in your circle produced promising results. In that case, you should start directing your traction efforts and resources toward that promising channel. Now, at any stage in its startup lifecycle, one traction channel dominates in terms of customer acquisition. That is why we suggest focusing on one at a time, and only after you have identified a channel that seems like it could actually work. The goal of this focusing step is quite simple: to wring every bit of traction out of the traction channel. To do so, you will continually experimenting to find out exactly how to optimize growth in your chosen channel. As you deep deeper into it, you will uncover effective tactics and do everything you can scale them until they are no longer effective due to saturation or rising costs. Now, another interesting thing is every effective marketing channel has a lifespan, right? A channel that is effective today might not be effective tomorrow because of saturation. Means that a lot of people are now following that same pattern that you are using. So it might render that marketing channel ineffective, or is now very expensive. So maybe you can't afford it anymore. So then you have to repeat the process that got you to step 5. Then you start from step 1. So let's start again together. Sorry. So step 1 is brainstorm. Step 2, after you brainstorm, then you rank your ideas, right? And I told you if you're ranking, we have 3 columns. We have the column A and the column B. The column A is the inner circle, which traction channels seem most promising right now. The column B is potential, which traction channels seem like they could possibly work. And the column C is the long shots, which traction channels seem long shots, seems like going to take a lot of work. And step 3 is prioritize. So after then you now prioritize the most important channel in column A, in column B, and in column C. So after you've prioritized, then you now test column A against column B against column C. And after you've tested, then you focus on the most effective one, and you dig deeper to understand how this channel can actually help increase the growth of my business. Now, why should you use the Bullseye Framework? This is where we are going to stop for today. Bullseye is designed to be a straightforward way to direct your traction, focusing, and maximizing your results. First and foremost, it forces you to take all the traction channels more seriously than you would otherwise. This is accomplished via the brainstorm step, and then again by forcing you to think about all the channels through the rank and prioritize step. This step systematically uncovers strategies for getting traction that wouldn't have found using other approaches. Meaning that if you use this step in your business, you are going to get insights that you might not even have uncovered on a normal day, right? It's going to help you get insight that you might not actually pay attention to in a normal day. Now, the framework is also meant to help you. The framework is also meant to help you zoom in on the best ideas as cheaply as possible, while still casting a wide net, hence the metaphor bullseye. Now, third, we emphasize doing tests in parallel, since the traction channel that will ultimately succeed is unpredictable and times of the excess now. But the thing is that bullseye is wild. Now, Noah Kagan talked to us about how the use of version of bullseye at Mint, a site that helps you track your finances, was acquired by Intuit for $117 million. Now, their initial traction goal was 100,000 users in the first month after launch. In step 1 to 3, Noah and his team brainstormed. I told you the first step is brainstormed, and picked several traction channels that seem promising. Now, the traction channels Noah picked is targeting blogs, PR, search engine marketing. That is their inner circle. So if you remember, I told you we have 3 steps. We have the brainstorming step, the ranking step. Ranking is divided into 3. We have the column A, which is the inner circle, the traction that seem most promising right now. The column B, the potential ones, and column C, the long shot ones. So the third step is you prioritize it. The fourth step is you test it. And the last step, which is step 5, is focusing. Now, so for the step 1 to 3, Noah actually picked out the best traction method for his business, and he came up with targeting blogs, PR, search engine, and marketing. Now that is the inner circle. You see, that's 3. The first one is A, right? The targeting the blogs. The second one is the PR, right? And the third one is search engine. So which means that the first one is the most promising one, right? The second one is one that seemed like it could work right now. And the last one is, so which means targeting blogs for them seem like is the most promising one for them. PR seems like it's the one that can work right now, and search engine seems like the long shot. And if you look at the arrangement, yes, it's actually true. Search engine search engine optimization takes a reasonable amount of time before it actually gets effective on your business. Now, in step 4, they ran a series of sheep tests in each, sponsored a small newsletter, reached out to financial celebrities like Suze Orman, placed some Google ads to see what worked and what didn't. Now, after running this experiment, Mint focused on the traction channel that seemed most promising and that they could reach their goal. In this case, that's meant targeting blogs, right? In this case, that's meant targeting blogs. In the early days, the tactics of sponsoring mid-level bloggers in the financial niche and guest posting allowed them to acquire their first 40,000 customers. That is awesome. Now, when this channel maxed out, they repeated Bullseye process and found a new traction channel to focus on public relations. Now, look at this. After they have acquired 40,000 customers, after 6 months of acquiring 40,000 customers, they did not use the blogging method anymore, because now they already have a market that is doing, they already have a satisfied market that is preaching the good news of their business to people outside there, right? Now they have to complement what their customer is doing by running good PR. Now, within 6 months of launching, they had 1 million users. In 6 months of launching, they had 1 million users. Now, we cover specific strategies for both this traction channel in later chapters. Now, if you look at what they did, in the first thing is they streamlined the 3 options they had, and they chose to go with mid-level bloggers and working with financial niche, right? Working with bloggers, working with online content creators who talk about finance, and it got them 40,000 customers. Then after they've done that, they change their strategy, right? When this channel maxed out, it means that when the blogging method stopped getting them tractions, they had to repeat Bullseye process, which is what? They had to repeat Bullseye process, which is that they brainstormed again, they ranked the ideas they got again into column A, B, into inner circle, potential, and long shots. They tested it again, and they focused on the best one and repeat the process again. So after they did this severally, then they be like, okay, they go with this. Now they have over 1 million customers. Then they have over 1 million customers now. So when the channel marks that, they repeated the Bullseye process and found a new traction channel to focus on public relations. Within 6 months of launching, they had 1 million users. Do you know what it means to gain 1 million users in the interval of 6 months? We cover specific strategies for both this traction channel in later chapters. Now, we had stories like this over and over again when taken to successful startup founders. They will research many channels, try a few, and focus on the most promising until it stopped working. So when it stopped working, you rinse and repeat. Now, Bullseye is designed to systemize this successful process. Use it. Now, takeaways. The Bullseye Framework is a 5-step repeatable process to maximize your chances of getting traction. Now, you brainstorm. If you are listening to me right now, you can say it with me. You brainstorm, that is the 4th step of Bullseye Framework. You rank it, you prioritize it, you test it, and you focus on the most effective one. Now, Focusing on the traction channel means becoming an expert on it by continually testing new tactics to get the most traction possible. Research how past and present companies in your space and adjacent spaces succeed or failed at getting traction. The easiest way to do this is to go talk to startup founders who previously failed and at what you're trying to do now. There's one important thing I used to advise business owners and founders. When business owners launch a business, they go straight to successful businesses. Please, how did your business succeed? It's a very, very nice step. But at the same time, if you're going to people who succeed, you also need to go to people who failed. You don't ask them, how did your business fail? You can ask them, what happened to your business? They tell you a full story. So getting the insight from people who had a failed business is as important as also gaining insight from people who had successful business. Now, compile your brainstorm ideas for each traction channel in a spreadsheet with educated guests. Now, this is the end of the section today. So, but the question is, how do you actually brainstorm? How do you come up with several ideas? I know people will tell me they don't really have ideas. Now, I already told you one of it. Go through founders that had failed businesses and also successful businesses. Gain insight for them, right? Look around. How do these people do theirs? And I told you, understanding your competitors is very, very important in your business. Understand how your competitors are doing theirs right now, and who are the customers you are trying to get. What method is best to reach out to them? Who are they? What is their culture? What's their demographic? Get their demographic data, work on this thing severally, and you're going to get the best insights and the best ideas. But today evening, 8 p.m., I'm going to emphasize on that, which is traction thinking. So join me today evening by 8 p.m. so we can work on it together. It's going to be a whole chapter, and it's going to be more interesting than that of today. So good morning and have a good weekend. Thank you. So if you have any question, you can reach out to me, my DM. I'm available to answer.